What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. That felt really good. This is my first What's Up, everybody, of 2021. We have been behind the scenes working in the lab, so to speak, for over a month now, really understanding what has happened in the 2019 all through 2020. And it's been an amazing, incredible journey. Lowest lows and highest highs for sure. And the team from Andrew Parr, Sophie Breaker, Corey Nelson, the Cummings clan, Mackenzie, Betsy, have been working to try and really bring this thing together, to really lean into our mission. We exist at Best Served to unlock, to amplify the worth and work of people who feed their communities. And we've been really defining that for ourselves and what that means. You see a lot more of that. I just needed to come live with all of you for a moment to talk about an important topic: the no call, no show. We weren't even prepared. Sophie's behind the scenes here. Make a no call, no show. I need a big banner here because we need to talk about this issue. It is massive, it is pervasive, and it is so polarizing. We have now entrenched ourselves on either side of this conversation, that it is finger pointing, that the restaurant doesn't give a shit about me, and that the employee kids these days are lazy, entitled, just trying to feed off of unemployment. None of that matters to me. What matters to me is that we come to the table and start having a meaningful conversation to actually do something about it. There's plenty of blame to go around. This episode, I'm going to be casting a lot of blame on myself. I have had to reflect on this. I have been a part of the problem because I thought I was so fucking clever at the way that I managed interviewing, that I managed employees and scheduling, all these different things. And I can't get it in this whole episode. I'm going to be talking to you guys for like 25 minutes. We're going to talk about a lot more. We're going to have some table size, some round tables on the show on this topic as well. It is one of the points of contention that we need to really start to understand. So I want to take a step back because what I recognize from reading hundreds and hundreds of people's stories and comments about this topic is that there's something deeper than the no call, no show. It is starting far before that employee, that potential employee, ever is in front of you. And I want to go way back. I want to go back in time to when this started for me. For me, in 2000, when I graduated high school, I know I have a baby face, 38 years old now. In 2000, when I graduated high school, I was such a fuck up. I had no idea what I was going to do. Yet I had all these skills that I was able to have good jobs and make money and hustle and do a lot of illegal things and hustle. And I was like, what am I going to do? And my uncle said, get your ass out of Southern California and come out to Ames, Iowa, and come work at my restaurant. And this is a long personal story. I'm telling you, it's going to make sense to you. I said, come out here. And I was like, yeah, I'll go out, hang out in college town, get drunk, hit on college girls. In the restaurant, day number one, in the dish pit, when there were dishes piled as high as I am tall, and I'm 6'2", as high as I am tall, I knew that I had found my people. I was like, the energy, the chaos, the intensity, the camaraderie, I loved all of it. And I know so many of you have the same experience. And we were galvanized because we were that band of rebels, the island of misfit toys, as Bourdain called us, the pirates on the pirate ship. It was us versus them. And the problem now is in the restaurant, it is us versus them. We have forgotten who we are. And we are blaming so often, here, restaurants. I have been the problem. Restaurants and the leadership is going to be the one to start solving the problem, to start looking for solutions. Because for us to expect, a generation of kids, the employees of a restaurant who are just struggling to survive, to figure out a way to get out of their own fight or flight mode, survival mode, scarcity mindset, to now create solutions for an emerging way of evolving an industry, it's not going to happen. The restaurants have to do it. We have to take responsibility. And I have been a part of the problem. I forgot what it meant to be a part of that kitchen. And this is what I saw time and time again. There is no purpose. The sense of belonging and purpose that was created in that kitchen has stuck with me. It's why even when I burnt out in the kitchen, even when I failed as a restaurant owner, even when I decided I was going to go and do other things outside this industry, it keeps pulling me back in. And it was because it created a sense of belonging for me that is now so innate in me. And that's what we need to do. Because what happened, and I did this again and again and again, I took what I was a part of, what we all created together, that was an industry, that was a restaurant built on that camaraderie and chaos. And we turned it into a job. We turned it into a job. We did that. We started to turn so many of the functions of what made us great and make it transactional. The way that we manage an interview, the way that we manage scheduling, the way that we manage resumes, all of these things are going to come out because we started managing systems and pieces of paper. And look, I'm all about managing seconds and pennies. Absolutely. We started to forget about that band of rebels, that it was us together in this. We were the outcasts. We were the misfits. And what happens and has happened is we became the cool kids. It was not cool to be a chef for a long time. Chefs were the help. We were the help. And we became the cool kids. And the huge opportunities came from that. Don't get me wrong. The chef-driven restaurant, massive opportunities. My favorite thing, open kitchens. We created a relationship that we had never had because guests were always just nameless, faceless assholes that sent back food and had weird requests. And now they could sit at my counter and I could take them on a journey that inspired me and it can inspire them. Amazing opportunity. It also challenged the business because now it was so focused on one person, not the brigade, not the team. It was that one person. And myself included, I sucked the fucking air out of the room all the time in those situations. And it became so much about the chef that we became caricatures of ourselves. And I have lots of stories I can tell you about that. I need you to know I have been guilty of that. I was guilty of that. Our kitchens became bigger and bigger and bigger. We spent more and more money on that. And it challenged the business model, which forced us to make poor decisions. We stopped giving a shit about people. And we started giving a shit only about the business. And the business, yes, has to thrive, to be an extension, to create jobs and opportunity for those people. It was always about the people. And we call ourselves a people business, right? We need to recognize that we're not a people business. We turned into a food business. We need to go into creating those relationships. And right now, kids these days, they just see the job. And nobody gives a shit about the job. Nobody. We didn't care about the job. We cared about each other. And that's where we need to go. And that's the only opportunity that we have, is to give a shit about each other again, to create workplaces worth working. It's the number one thing that a restaurant does. You create a sense of belonging. You create a sense of purpose. You create a sense of community. You create a sense of time and place. You create a sense of wonder. This is what a restaurant fundamentally does. Food is just the proof that we are delivering on the promise that we make each other and to our community. The food is not the business. The people are the business, and that's where we need to go. That's the only opportunity we have. So when I start hearing these stories about no call, no shows, I look deep. I'm trying to find the place of intersection where we lose our way, where we start to marginalize people, where we start to make the relationships we build transactional, not an exchange of value, transactional. And it is a job, yet we made it a job. And there is a difference. Just hear the way I said it. It became a job, and we never wanted a job. That's why we did this. We didn't have to have a job. You go get a fucking job. I'm going to work weekends. I'm going to have this crazy lifestyle. And look, that was not sustainable either. Yet there was something that galvanized us. We needed to find balance in that. And instead we found a job. We became the cool kids, and we didn't understand how to handle that. Myself, I didn't understand how to be the cool kid. I spent most of my life being dumber than the smart kids and not as cool as the cool kids. What I told myself, and I had to survive, was that I was way cooler than the smart kids and way smarter than the cool kids. And there's a difference again. And this is something that we have to reflect on. This is us. We did this. We built the industry. It works exactly the way that we built it. Now we have to decide, are we going to build a new industry? And the no call, no show is just a symptom of what I'm talking about. And we could absolutely end the episode here. This is it. This is the whole game that we're playing. Every micro interaction, every tactic, everything you're doing falls on deaf ears because nobody cares about what you're selling. Nobody cares. You don't even care half the time when you're in a restaurant as an employee. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why? Why was because I wanted to be in the fire. I wanted to be shoulder to shoulder. I wanted to go into battle with my friends. That's what I wanted to do. The food was just proof that I was damn good at it. And now the food, is where we focus all of our attention. And yes, the food has to be amazing. That's matter of fact. Obviously it does. Yet, if we focus all of our attention on that, the attention that we give it has to go into the people. And that's what we have not done. So when somebody is looking at the potential of like getting treated like shit for a job, fuck that. But every once in a while, that family dynamic of sometimes, you love your crazy uncle. That's the reality of what chef is. He's crazy uncle, but we love him. And that shoulder to shoulder was where we built this industry. And now we have an industry where, that chef has 7 restaurants and the number 13 gal down the line, doesn't have the vision for what we are trying to achieve, what we're trying to create, the future that we imagine for ourselves, for our community, for the food world. They may not have that vision. Someday they might. They don't have that vision. Yet we still are saying, oh, you're building your resume here. You're lucky to be here. And I have done this time and time again of thinking I was so clever of how quick I was to throw somebody's resume away because they didn't do X, Y, and Z. How smart I was that I took 100 resumes down to 15. You know what I didn't spend any time doing? Giving a shit about the person that took the time and effort and may have no skills whatsoever on creating a resume. And yeah, they spelled the word restaurant wrong. I get it. It doesn't matter. The ability to look at people and start to hire and value attributes, because I ask people all the time, what do you value? What qualities do you value? And they all tell me, everybody tells me somebody's a team player, teachable, hard worker, punctual. Those are attributes. I ask those same people, how do you determine when somebody gets a raise or a promotion? Skill, skill, skill. Can they cook X? Can they give me ROI? And then I hear things like, tell me why you bring value to my business. And it's all an expectation of money. And I say, oh, you must share all of your financials and do open book managing. No. Only managers have access to that. So you're telling me you want a line cook to tell you the value that they bring, the ROI that they create for your business, yet you never tell them anything about your business? How would they ever be able to do that? Skills. We're commoditizing the humans. And this is the repercussion of it. We're seeing it play out again and again. If somebody has a strong why, they will run through walls. We've seen it again and again. And look, our job is to move those walls as quickly as possible and create a work-life balance. We need to work on that as well. So I needed to lay it down. I needed everyone to understand, myself included, that we created a job. All right. And so there's a few people. I'm going to give shout outs to 3 people today and share the comments that they put out there because they really were impactful. They kind of helped crystallize these things. They made me really understand that we have to go to, not get back to, there's no getting back to. When I'm reminiscing, I'm not romanticizing the past. I'm recognizing the strengths that were inherent in it and also the vulnerabilities that it created. So this isn't about the good old days looking back. This is absolutely about moving forward. The most fundamental thing in the way that we're thinking about the way that we're communicating with our internal guests, our external guests, our employees, our customers, is people commit themselves to why you do what you do, not what you do. Simon Sinek talks about that a lot, and I took a lot away from hearing that. Why you do what you do. That's why people buy from you. That's why people work from you. So now is a time for us to commit to that, to build a new industry, because everything is on fire and there's so much stress and anxiety out there. There's a real opportunity. Many of these things have been exposed by the current situation. Many of these things have been accelerated, and some of them needed to get changed for decades, and we just couldn't see the forest through the trees. So now is the time. So I want to highlight a couple specific areas. And please, I see some comments coming in. Thanks, Yumi, Ruby, Hector, DeAndre. Hope things are good in Chi-Town, my friend. So we need to think about the interactions that we're having, and we're doing a lot of transactional things. We're putting a lot of who's got the leverage, buyers and sellers, real estate mentality that does not work in restaurants. Who needs jobs? Are there more jobs than there are people looking for the jobs? That's what we need to focus on. So I want to highlight a couple of people. Tiffany, I want to pop this up, Sophie, if you can. Yeah. So Tiffany Monique made a comment that I thought was good. It really like structures and understanding of some of the things that we do. In this industry, it's hard to trust. You can have a job one day and the next day not be on the schedule. I think accountability needs to be on both sides, Absolutely. I've shown up for interviews and the manager I spoke with was off that day. That stuff happens all the time. Onboarding, we talk about that all the time, where you build a relationship and then that relationship disappears because nobody knew you were showing up. Nobody had any idea, because communication always seems to break down in a communication organizes industry like restaurants. So we got to focus on that communication. I don't know about you, but I take the time to get dressed appropriately. I don't drive, so I have to pay to get to the interview. I've shown up for interviews where upon arrival was told the position was filled. Why didn't someone contact me? It's hard to get in the mindset of caring about restaurant bar managers when you've been disregarded by them more often than not. That's a real situation, and we can validate all we want and we can point fingers all we want, and it's them who's applying for the job, and anything you want, any rationalization, please bring them on. If you have rationalizations for me that what we're talking about here is wrong, I am totally willing to listen to those, and those, to try and connect those to the broader story that we're trying to get to the core of. However, you see the transactional nature there. We also see this played out. I saw this comment quite a bit, was talking about when you're interviewing 15 people and 2 people are getting positions, do you call or email back every single one of those other applicants, those other interviewees? The industry standard has become no. I mean, the answer is no to that industry-wide. If you are somebody who's doing that, then you're on the right side of history, absolutely. Yet that's not the norm. I did it all the time. I'm too busy. I just got to get these people in. I don't have time to contact those other people. They'll figure it out. They're smart. They're probably applying for 3 other jobs. They might be. Yet we have set a precedent of understanding of the expectation of communication. And then we say, where's the professionalism? You're right. Where is the professionalism? On all sides of the equation. Like, there's outliers. There's absolutely assholes who are selfish and, up till 3 a.m. and then don't show up till their 6 a.m. shifts. Those are the reality. Yet I believe the more and more we dig into this, the more hundreds and hundreds of people communicate and interact, and we understand their stories, those are actually outliers. We just haven't given people a strong enough why ongoing. We forgot about it. We bought into it. And now we're not communicating that why again and again, over and over, that sense of belonging. So that's something that I really took away from Tiffany's. There was a couple others that really talked about that interaction of feeling like you don't know where you stand in the value of that company. So you diminish your own worth within that company. I saw that play out a lot, where everyone knows this scenario. An employee gives 2-week notice and they get shit canned on the spot, fired, gone. We don't need you. You're done. They may have been a poor employee. I get that. Yet they gave you 2 weeks notice. And now I know a lot of people would be begging for anybody to give them 2 weeks notice. I get it. We showed everybody that works there how we handle that. Somebody gave us notice, professional. We fired them on the spot, unprofessional. They saw that interaction. Then they didn't know that that person was hot garbage and the worst employee ever. They didn't necessarily quantify that or qualify that in the way that you did. Yet Johnny or Susie then is holding that anxiety with them and saying, well, when I quit, I'm not going to put myself in that situation. I don't want to get, bombarded like that and feel this big and then walk out the door slinking and not even be able to say bye to my friends that I've worked with for the last week, month, 5 years. Doesn't matter. That's a reality. They hold that with them. They don't forget that. And you wonder why that employee didn't give you a 2-week notice, didn't put in notice, no call, no show. I'll tell you exactly why. Because of that interaction, that one interaction that we created. So we want professionalism on all sides. We need to nurture that. That's our job as leaders in this industry. That's what I forgot. That's what I believe we're forgetting, not the kids these days. They haven't forgot it. You haven't spent any time letting them know it. And that's what we need to reflect on. That's what's happening in that situation. The anxiety that they're holding with them because they don't want to be put in that position, to be diminished to the point of trying to do the right thing and getting cut down for it. So that's a real interaction that's happening, ongoing. All right, another comment we wanted to throw up from Sophie. Who's next? I'm got so fired up. Yes, Natalie Fleischman. So I no-showed for a stage. I had replied for an ad for a full-time pastry cook position in a restaurant. When I went for my interview, the chef owner made me wait for 20 minutes. Man, I have done this, making people wait and being like, let's make them sweat, see what happens, right? This is a tactic. It's not a good tactic. I can talk about that more. Past my appointment time. Then during the interview, changed the position to part-time, lowered the pay rate, and told me the hours were 3 a.m. to 11. I told him right then and there that I was not interested in the position because of the pay, weekly hours, and the time of the shifts were not what I agreed to. I agreed to stage because I liked the restaurant, but after I thought about it, I felt like the chef owner completely wasted my time. So when my alarm went off at 2 a.m. to go to an unpaid stage for a job I didn't want, I didn't feel so bad when I just went back to sleep. So we'll cut it there. Natalie actually went on. That's a see more. That was a longer part of that story, and hit a couple of other points that I want to touch on. We do things like that. We put people in these adverse situations and say, here, figure out how to thrive. The person is just trying to get a job. Can we invest in the time to understand who they are versus starting to put them in a position of stress? Like, there's going to be plenty of stressful situations. You're in a fucking restaurant. You don't have to artificially create those situations, yet we do that. We think that is like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to figure out who's best for this job. And you know what they're doing? I'm going to figure out how I can go work for somebody who's not an asshole. Sorry, like, that's the reality. That's what's happening. It keeps playing out. And we go, where are all the people? Why are these people lazy? They're not. Are there lazy people? There are. Do I know a lot of younger millennials and Gen Z that are just hustle all day, every day, that have 3 side hustles, that put your one job that's 55 hours a week because you're a manager and we work so hard in restaurants to shame? Yeah, I know a lot of them. And they would love to work in an industry, in a position with a company that instills a sense of belonging and purpose and community with them. Yeah, they put all of themselves into that. They would be your biggest advocates. They would take your Luddite technology unsavviness and say, I believe in this restaurant so much that I'm going to go and tell people on Instagram, on Snapchat, on TikTok, all about how I get to live a life filled with purpose, be it the Island of Misfit Toys or whatever the next iteration of us as an industry, as a people, as a community is. They'll do that. We have to give them the opportunity. It starts with stopping the nonsense. And now is the time. It's been the time for a long time. Now there's no other choice. There's no other choice if you want to see the future of this industry. If we build an industry that is equitable, profitable, sustainable for everybody, that's the opportunity we have. All right, this last one was really important. Aaron Camacho, I am so grateful to you for pointing this out. There's so much anxiety in a restaurant. We create it all the time. Sometimes we thrive on it. And Aaron really articulated this. It was so important for me and so important to a lot of people. A lot of people really responded to Aaron's post. And so I'm grateful. As someone with tons of anxiety, taking phone calls is difficult for me. Friends, family, random employers. I'll sit there and watch it ring, hoping they leave a message that will inspire some confidence for me to call right back. Unless I sit there and plan out every word I'm going to say beforehand, I end up stumbling my words and sentences structures sound off because I'm overthinking my words. I battle this by speaking out loud before the call. I run through myself through a few basic responses that I think I'm going to repeat. This stops there. In person, you can never tell I struggle with these things. Sure, I'm not the most outgoing person, but I don't have any trouble speaking to people. Something about the psychology behind a phone call. Sometimes, to my surprise, is the easiest phone call in the world, and I laugh at myself for even thinking it would be any harder. The problem starts with me, the recipient. It is very rarely anything the employer said or didn't say. Aaron, so grateful for being so honest and vulnerable in that moment and taking responsibility. So many people took responsibility, said, yeah, I fucked up. I was a punk kid. I was this, I was that. I was stupid. I was drinking too much. I was smoking too much, whatever. And said, I wish I was able to do it different. I wish I had the courage or the thought to recognize that in this moment I should have done the right thing and I didn't. And in that is the chance that we have. There's the glimmer of hope that we have to create a more meaningful dialogue, a communication. And Aaron got so many people responded to Aaron saying, I feel you. And I had no idea. I had no idea that anxiety existed because I'm stuck in my paradigm. And a bunch of people said stuff. Amanda said, I recognize this type of anxiety. I tend to send emails or texts, just the potential interviewee, to just invite them straight for an in-person interview to avoid this phone awkwardness. So as somebody who's hiring people has taken this into the equation and changed the communication. This is something when I said we're behind the scenes right now doing work in the lab, it's because we recognize the forms of communication are also different. You know, I love talking to all of you, yet other people don't necessarily like to do that. So we're focusing on content that is watch, listen, and read. Clearly, the listen would create the most anxiety potentially for Aaron. Understood. Then communicate in a different way. Create a multiplicity in the way that you communicate. Brian said, well said, I'm the same. I wonder if I might have something to do with not seeing facial expressions and body language, especially if even you're front of house and you are able to communicate people. I know so many of us are struggling because we're a face-to-face industry and not able to do that. Well, that phone call is so there is no nonverbals. And we know that over 70% of communication, or 80%, don't quote me on that number, high number, comes from nonverbal communication. Carly said, I feel this. Kelly Scott, I'm exactly the same. I call it my phone call phobia. I'll go above and beyond trying to figure out ways around making or taking phone calls, being late on bills, missing jobs, opportunities and such. Even goes into the virtual meetings. Those are even worse for me, actually. So we see that there's tons of anxiety over that. The way and the medium in which we communicate is having an impact on it. I had no idea that that was a factor I'd have to recognize. And I'm so grateful that dozens and dozens and dozens of people echoed this exact same sentiment. Now I am forever changed. Because my job, the work that I do, what compels and motivates me is not having the answers. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. For most of my life and career, I thought being the one who was the most clever, the smartest, had all these fucking tactics on ways to throw your resume in the trash, to put you in a position where I could see you thrive. Really, I was just seeing what I wanted to see. And if I didn't see that, I moved on. I never actually saw you. And I apologize so profusely to so many people who struggled with that style of communication. I know a lot of people have reached out to me and I have great relationships with. And I know that there are people that would never want anything to do with me. It's because of that. It's because of that I took the time with some people and not with others. I took the time with those people because I saw some reflection of myself or some bullshit like that, some self-righteous something, and we do that again and again. And I missed out on all the people that could have been brilliant because they didn't fit into some mold that I had. Well, the whole reason I got into this industry is to break the mold. I didn't like the mold. The mold was for somebody else. And then I spent all this time creating these molds for people. So now, when everything we're doing internally with our team too, like just to tell you, like we're building tons of systems, yet it's just to be able to create an opportunity to communicate more, to communicate better around what we believe in, not to force people into being a caricature of themselves. And that is something I will struggle with every day because I spend so much time convincing myself that that was what I was good at, of putting people in the right box. And the reality is the boxes are just there for people to be able to step upon, to put themselves, to amplify themselves, and to allow them to have the opportunity to unlock their own potential. That's what the boxes are for. That's my reframe. That's what the restaurant industry is needing to do. That's what I'm calling upon myself, our team, everybody in this industry on any side of this equation. It's time. The no call, no show is just the symptom. We need to go to the root cause And it is always about communication. It is always about building a why around why we get out of bed in the morning or at noon if you work nights. That's what's going to matter. That's the only chance that we have. That's what I'm going to be focused on. So we're going to talk about a lot more. And I'm grateful for this opportunity, and we'll keep talking about this. Please, please reach out to us. Let us know what's going on with you. Sophie, please, we have some ways you guys can engage with us. If you have ideas for topics to discuss, we'd be interested in hearing those. And we're going to have some episodes of Tableside, which is our round table where we talk to line level people about their experience. We're going to have a series called Best Served Customer, where we're gonna focus on the customer experience and talk to them and understand their challenges and needs and the things they love. We're gonna also have 2 series of our Best Served New series, which we absolutely are so excited about, where we will be coaching emerging entrepreneurs or existing entrepreneurs with their business and really coaching. It's really unlocking and amplifying their potential. There's some coaching that happens. There's some thinking that happens. Yet really, that's what it's about. So I'm excited to bring those series to light in February. So please interact with us. We have been working really hard. Sophie, especially, who's behind the scenes here, working really hard on finding ways. Our job is to bring all of you as close to us as possible. And the closer you get, the more opportunity we have to amplify your voice, to amplify your worth and your work, and create a strong why. That's what we're going to be doing. So hold us accountable to that. I really, really want to get out there and hustle and communicate for you. That's it for today. Pretty close. I tried for 30 minutes, 31 minutes. You guys know I can't help myself. All right. Appreciate you all. Go out there. Give a shit about people. Please do it. We have to do it. It's what matters. That's what we need to do. The no call, no show is the symptom. I'm going to hammer that point home again and again. That's it. Thank you all so much, as always, for tuning in. Cheers.